Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell, and welcome back to another episode of Simply Nell's Tiny Studio. Today we're just going to have a little talk, a little chat together. How are you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. I am back in the tiny studio. I am just, woo, I am just really getting over my trip to Detroit. I talked about it in a previous video on Wednesday. Um, I went to Detroit primarily for my 40th high school class reunion. Yay! Class of 1985. Yes, go Trailblazers, Detroit Central High School. I was so excited. I've been a slight part of the preparation and helping the reunion committee out and getting things ready for our 40th class reunion, and I had a great time. I didn't get a chance to participate in a lot of activities due to the fact that I was recuperating from that horrific drive that we made from Florida to the city of Detroit. It was just, let me tell you, it was horrible going and it was horrible coming back. And I am still catching up on sleep, catching up on all the things that happen when you are driving 1900 miles. 1900 miles. Listen, it's not cross country by any means, but listen, it was still a harrowing time when we drove up to Michigan. Listen, it rained at least 85% of the time. We were driving through storms from Tennessee, through Kentucky, Ohio, and into Michigan. It rained the whole time. And then coming back, even though we had lots of sunshine, there were accidents on the road, which meant that there were moments where we were sitting in traffic, stuck literally for 2 hours. 2 hours. Oh my freaking God. When I tell you that my feet and my legs swole up to the size of huge ass balloons, it was ridiculous. And listen, I know I said it in the past, but I will not, I promise you, I will not be putting myself through the torture of driving from Florida to Detroit again. That is out, O-U-T. I will be on the plane. As a matter of fact, I will be sitting comfortably in first class on the Delta Airlines, on a Delta Boeing aircraft. That's what I'm going to be doing because I deserve it and I will not be driving again. That was terrible. But anyhow, I've been gone for a little bit. I posted a video of maybe us stopping over in Kentucky on our way to Detroit, and I'm actually thinking that it was after I posted that video that my son decided to make the executive decision to just pull over until the morning, and that's what we did. We had a great time. As I said, I didn't get a chance to hang out like I wanted to because I was beat. I was bushed. I was tired, child. I was in the mood where I didn't really want to be bothered. I'm going to be honest. I really did not want to be bothered, but I, went anyway. And I paid my money. As a matter of fact, my husband was like, no, we cannot attend certain things because, of how you feel. We paid our money, so we got to go. And I was like, yeah, but do I want to? Because I was just out of it, And then the last night, because of the storms, a tree fell in the neighboring lot of my attached to my grandmother's house, but the tree fell onto the electrical line that went directly to my grandmother's home where we were staying, and her home was the only home that the power was knocked out of. So it was hot. My grandmother doesn't have air conditioners. She does not have central air. And of course, she did not have a generator. So we were hot. So it was hot and muggy, and I was just beyond irritated, beyond irritable. I really was. So, but I did have a good time. I did enjoy seeing the people that I did see. Let me tell you, 40 years. I graduated in June of 1985. And at that point, being 17 years old, I could not see the future. None of us can. But I just never saw myself attending my 40th class reunion. I just didn't. And to see the people that I did, I've attended the 10th reunion, 10th class reunion. I attended the 20th class reunion. Um, and there were people that I did not see, at the 10th or at the 20th, but I got a chance to see those people at the 40th reunion. And it was just so delightful. I got phone numbers I will be calling. One of the people that I was really excited to see was my bestie from high school, Sheila Dorsey. I was just so excited to see her. We were locker partners in our 11th and 12th grade years. In high school, and she was also the editor-in-chief of the Central Student, of which I was a staff writer. So it was so good to see her at the reunion, to see my old buddy. She told people, she said, yes, she said, Tracy was my therapist and I was her therapist. Now, isn't that something? Because today I am in grad school, studying to become a psychotherapist. How ironic was that she said what she did. I got a chance to see another friend that I hadn't seen since high school. We became friends like maybe the last 6 months of our high school career. We became friends, and I really, really loved Jackie, and she gave me her telephone number, but for some reason I lost her number. And look, when I got a chance to meet up with her again virtually on Facebook, I was very, very happy. But to see her after 40 years, the last time I talked to her was when we had actually graduated from high school that day. So to see her again 40 years later, priceless. I have to say, my 40th class reunion, I saw the people that I wanted to see. I enjoyed myself. And when my husband was getting tired and was ready to go, I was ready to go as well. Because I want to tell you one thing about high school reunions. You always, and this is what I think, maybe you agree too, but we see high school life as one way. We remember things, not too clearly, but we see things in a certain way, in a certain light. And I'm going to speak for myself. I saw my high school life in a certain light. I saw my high school life as a second home. I came from a home where there was a lot of domestic violence going on. There was, I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. There was child abuse going on in my home. And so I was a very troubled young brown girl. Okay. Teenage brown girl. The teenage Nell was very, very troubled. And I used to run away from home. I had suicidal tendencies. I actually, attempted suicide. And so, high school was my refuge. And that's how I looked at it. Even though there were elements of high school that was problematic for me, the overall picture of high school for me was good. That's how I rated it. But as I become the crone that I am, as we all mature, we begin to put things in a more realistic light. We begin to put stop lying. We stop lying about certain aspects of our life, and we just say, okay, listen, this is what it was. This is the way it really was. And that's what I found myself doing during the 40th, my 40th high school class reunion week, is that I finally began to put my life in general look at it being realistic about it. Okay. Because, to be honest, the bullies were bullying. Most definitely. The crushes were crushing. Um, the anxiety was anxietying. The stress was stressing. High school was a trip, especially in the early to mid 1980s in the city of Detroit. My high school was on the corner of Tuxedo and Linwood. And if you know anything about Detroit folklore, then you know at that time period, there were several notorious drug gangs going on in the city at the time. Even the movie New Jack City is based off of the goings on of the neighborhood of where I went to high school at. I think about the people, to be really, really honest and blunt with you, attending Detroit Central High School from 1981, the fall of 1981 to June of 1985, it was very, very problematic. Very problematic. And the fact that I survived it is just even more reason to celebrate 40 years, But it was a really interesting time in my life because Central High School was ground zero for a lot of bullshit that was going on in the city of Detroit and on the west side of Detroit. I remember, going to the bathroom as a freshman, being 13 years old because my birthday is until the end of the year. So I entered high school life at the age of 13 and having to legitimately use the bathroom, but then finding out that it was really a drug den. Um, learning not to be in certain areas of the school because of the drug and criminal element, um, being careful about walking in that neighborhood because I was robbed, I have had jewelry snatched off my neck, um, it was just, not cool. It was just a not so cool experience. And the elements, things surrounding Central High School, the neighborhood, what was actually going on, seeing people get assaulted, having friends, find themselves victims of, murder. Um, that happened in my ninth grade where there was a school dance, and one of the young men that was in my pre-algebra class went to a dance Friday night. I saw him in class. I saw him at school Friday, and then he was shot and killed at the school dance Friday night. I mean, it was just, something else. And I found myself at Central High School not because I wanted to be there. I wanted to go to Cass Tech, but because of the situation in my home, okay, my home life was not good. And because of that situation, I found myself at Central High School at ground zero. And I survived it. I survived it. And I often wonder how it was that I did, but I know that the reason why I survived it was because I had the ancestors looking out for me. I had my spirit guides there. But most importantly, what helped me to survive life at Central High School was that I gravitated toward people who were like me. I wasn't the popular girl. That was not me. I was not as into the athletic life of it all. That wasn't me either. I wasn't in the school band or the choir or doing anything like that. I was just Tracy, and I just hung Tracy, or that's my government name. I was just me hanging around kids who wanted more. My classes were the accelerated classes. So I usually hung around people who were in my class, who were interested in getting an education. And I hung around people who were, they were nerdy like me. They were the smart kids, and that's where I found myself at. I was the writer, the poet, so some of my stuff was published in the literary student journals at Central High School, and then I went on to work on the Central Student newspaper. Um, I worked because of my journalism work at school. I became a teen reporter at a famous local radio station. So I did teen reports on WGLB FM 98 Detroit, Michigan. That's a shout out. I did that. What else? I was just me. I wasn't on the inside, but I wasn't necessarily on the outside. I was on the peripheral edge. But I was never the cool girl. I wasn't her, I wasn't wearing Sassoons or Jordashes. I was wearing Anne Klein, maybe. I had some Anne Klein jeans. I really thought I was something, but Anne Klein, that's still not Calvin Klein, right? I wasn't the fashionable person. I wasn't wearing Coach purses. That just wasn't me. But whatever it was, it kept me out of the riffraff. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me from being a teen mom. It kept me from a lot of things because of the people that I hung out with. And that's why it was so good to see after 40 years, it was glad to see and celebrate the fact that those very same people that I grew up with, went to elementary school with, then went to middle school with, and then graduated from high school with, it was good to see those people that they were still trucking. They were still moving forward. And I'm going to tell you one thing about my graduating class, okay? Even though we were at the high school that we were, okay, in the neighborhood that we were, my graduating class, those people, we graduated to having lawyers, accountants, CEOs, doctors, coaches. We graduated that group of people. Oh, journalists. PhD hopefuls. We graduated all of those type of people. And that's why it was so good to see them. It was so good to see them because it wasn't the fact of where we came from mostly. It was the drive that we had within ourselves to move forward, to be better, to do better. Some of us, it was the first time. We were the first people to go to college in our families, So celebrating 40 years was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it was so good to see so many friendly faces, so many people from my past. It was so good to, for them to come up to my husband and tell my husband, I really love that girl. She was really cool. There are people who came up to me that I didn't even know, who knew me, who remembered me from high school. And I'm going to tell you this quick story of a young lady, a young sister who came up to me. Young meaning, we graduated 40 years ago. But she came up to me and she said, "You know what, Tracy, I know you don't remember me, and it's okay that you don't remember me, but I remember you. And I remember you were always kind to me. You spoke to me. You had conversations with me. And you made me feel seen. That's what you did. You made me feel seen. You made me feel like I was somebody. And I did. In her eyes, I remembered her. I didn't remember her name, but I did remember her. And I hugged her. I hugged her in that moment because I know that she needed to say that to me. I needed to hear that. And it was just a testament to the fact that even though I was going through a difficult home life, even though I was a damaged young brown girl, it's true, even though that was happening, within my humanity, I was still able to bring sunshine and light and make someone else feel good. Let them know that they are being seen, because I knew what it felt like to not be seen. I knew what it felt like to be invisible. But hopefully, and this young lady, this young sister, she let me know that I didn't treat her like everybody else treated her. I didn't treat her as if she was nobody. I let her know that I saw her. And that had a tremendous effect on me. And there had been several people that I didn't know that knew me and who remembered me. And sometimes you think that you're alone out here and that people don't see you. But guess what? They do see you. They do see you. And you do have a purpose, and your voice is valuable. And that's something that I learned even more so. And I am thankful for the person that I was becoming in high school, because I'm still that same person. I'm still the same. I'm still the same Tracy, maybe just with a little, white hair, but I'm still the same. I'm still the same person, maybe with a little bit more experience and a little wisdom, but do my best to, I do my best to treat people the way I want to be treated. And that was something that my grandmother taught me. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's why that young lady, that young sister, we're all young, aren't we? When she said that to me, it warmed my heart. And I hugged her in that moment. When she said, I remember you, Tracy, she said, and it's okay that you don't remember me. It was the eyes. I knew exactly who she was. I didn't know at 16, 17 years old that I had had that type of effect on another individual, because I was a kid. I was in tune with myself. But to know that there was enough humanity in me to treat another human being with respect and with kindness and with all the things that I desire, for me to be able to give it to her and for her to be able to flourish and survive high school too, child, that was everything. So, like I said, I had a really good time at in Detroit for my 40th class reunion. I would love to be there for the 50th. As a matter of fact, I will be there for the 50th class reunion. If we decide to have a 50th class reunion, I will most definitely be there. And not because of the fact that it would just be great to see everybody in my 60s. It won't be for that. It would just be to continue to be an inspiration to other people and to continue to encourage everyone to live their best life, to be an inspiration or be inspirational to other people. That's my whole thing. And I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to attend my class reunion. I'm thankful that my husband was well enough to be able to attend and enjoy the festivities. And that's another thing I forgot to really bring out is that part of the reunion festivities was, or the reunion package was a tour of Ford Field. And that's the stadium where the Lions play, the Detroit Lions. Go Lions. And, I saw that, and my husband, and this is another thing I want to say real quick about manifestation. Um, my husband, when we paid for the reunion package, and I told him that, I think it's day one, it was a tour of Ford Field. My husband kept asking me, well, do you think the tour will include a look at the Lions locker room? And I was like, that's aspirational. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. My husband is a huge Lions fan, a huge football fan, and he was just really excited about that. He kept asking me over the months, do you think the tour is going to include the Lions locker room? And I kept saying, I doubt it. I don't think so. All the way up until the day that he got out the car with my son to go on the tour for Ford Field. And I just decided, I didn't want to go on the tour. I mean, when we lived in the D, we went to, a bunch of Lions games. We went to Ford Field to see, for home improvement shows. My husband's company, the firm that he was working with at the time, had different, events at Ford Field. So I had been to Ford Field. I could care less about going there because I had seen it. So I wasn't really, that's why I allowed my son to go in place of me, on the tour with my husband. But listen, maybe 45 minutes later, that's when the pictures started arriving. I started getting these text messages from my son. And guess what those pictures were? The text messages and the attached pictures were of my husband in the Lions locker room. Yes. And then above the little areas where the players change their clothes, there was a name plate there, and it said Foster 85. And I have a copy of it on the wall right there. You see it? Foster 85. My husband has the original in his office, but that's the copy that he made for me. You see that? Isn't that wonderful? This is what he saw. It didn't have my high school name. It had my husband's last name. 85. Now that was manifestation on so many levels. I cannot get into it with you here. But my husband manifested that. He manifested touring the Lions locker room. Now that is some deep, deep stuff right there. And the pictures of him, he blew up one of the pictures of him standing in the locker room, and it was just everything. And despite the horrors of us making that trip up to Detroit, and then the horrors of making that trip back to Florida, listen, to me, the highlight will always be that my husband got a chance to tour the Detroit Lions locker room. That was the biggest thing for me. And see, I guess that's a tribute once again to not just manifestation, but also something where Jesus in the Bible said that there is more happiness in giving than there is in receiving, because that was a gift that I was able to give to my husband, and to me, that right there, the expression on his face, the smile, the happiness that he felt when he got in the car and told me about it, all of those things made the whole 4-day reunion, or the 5-day trip to the D, worthwhile. It was all worth it, based on the fact that he got a chance to see tour the Lions locker room, that he saw his name there. I mean, I have to say thank you to the Central Reunion Committee for that. I have to say thank you to everyone that put that together. That was the highlight too. That was the highlight too. It wasn't really about me. It was really about how the expression on his face, my husband's face, it was really all about the sister's expression who came up to me and said to me, I know you don't remember me and it's okay if you don't, but I just want to say this about you. It was that. It was seeing people that I loved, that I counted on in high school. It was seeing Sheila again. That was wonderful. Seeing Jackie again. That was wonderful. Seeing LaDon. Seeing Charlotte. Seeing Desiree. Seeing people that I went to elementary school with, middle school with, and then high school doing so well in their lives. Doctors, social workers, lawyers, ministers. Just seeing them, CEOs, just seeing them do things, seeing what they accomplished in their life, just seeing that and knowing that I was there. I was there at the beginning, that I was one of their friends. I was one of their confidants. That says a lot. So I'm going to get out of here. I just want to let you know that I am back in the tiny studio and that the videos will be rolling out. We're going to continue with the Learn to Crochet series. And I just ordered some really cool things. But I think I'm going to share that information with my membership. So if you are a member of the channel, head over to the lounge, the members only lounge, and I'll tell you some more about that, about what's coming up. But I just want to let you all know that I'm back in the tiny studio and that I am here and we're about to have some fun. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'm your girl Nell. Don't forget to like. Do not forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.